Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome back to Twin Cities by Night and our third story arc, Dread. Dread is set in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul in the hot and humid summer of 2011. Join us again and continue to follow the journey of Katao, played by Quinn, and William, played by Slavic, as they continue to traverse the dark society held within the Twin Cities. They will be joined by three new kindred: Warren, a Tremere, played by Adam; Valentine, a Nosferatu, played by Alex; and Lenny, a Nosferatu, played by Andrew. The coterie will find themselves joined together by a sense of dread. If you would like to contact us, you can follow us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM or Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. We hope you enjoy.
Warren, we're going to cut to you, but first I want to explain, for those of you who may not remember, about the chantry that the Tremere have. Now, in Twin Cities by Night, the Tremere chantry isn't like a Hogwarts. It isn't like some like mysterious building that like is off on top of the mountain where like people practice thaumaturgy or anything like that. And for those of you who don't remember, in the first story arc, actually, William and Ophelia went to the Tremere chantry to try to see if they can get some information from Jenna, who's the whip of the Tremere clan. And the Tremere chantry is pretty much this older house. It's well taken care of, but it is kind of on the campus of St. Catherine University and St. Paul. And it's basically like this house that I don't know if anyone's ever seen, but like sometimes people have these bigger, older houses where they'll kind of like make some of the rooms like mini apartments kind of, and people will get like kind of rent a room apartment from there. So this house is about like a 5-6 room house that's kind of well taken care of, but it was built in the later 19th century, like when St. Paul was first becoming a town and first becoming a city, and it's kind of like been it fits very well in on the campus of St. Catherine with other houses that are used as like frat houses or whatever to that extent, you know. Like has this yard that's a very like tranquil yard. It's like maybe a quarter of an acre, and it has like this like kind of hills, a couple little small hills that are in the front, you know, and there's like a this gas lantern light that's on the in the front on top of one of these little small hills, where when it snows during the winter and the whole yard is full of snow and there's just the sidewalk that leads up to it from the street is shoveled, it really like radiates this light that this lantern, you know, this lamp gives onto the snow. But currently, with it being about summertime right now, it has this very lush green grass that's in the front. And the front of this house, it's painted white and it's really well upkept, and it's almost like the architecture style is almost like has that Greek architecture style, you know, like the slight Victorian where it has like the pillars that are on the front, on, you know what I mean, that kind of hold like the porch overhead of the porch open. It has like these double doors, but it doesn't look any different than any other house here. It's not like someone will drive by and they'll be like, oh, this house looks different than anything else. It sticks out the sore thumb. It's actually rather camouflaged in this quaint neighborhood that's outside of St. Catherine University, because mind you, St. Catherine isn't like a university that's known like the University of Minnesota or anything like that for partying or anything. It's actually like a Catholic college. So like a lot of the kids that go to school here aren't really quite the partying type, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of has quieter evenings, doesn't bring on much attention. And there's this odd dichotomy between the residents of this chantry, because currently there are only two Tremere who actually reside in the chantry, and that is the Tremere Primogen, Cynthia, and then the person who currently watches over the Tremere chantry, Warren. Warren, before we continue on, I want you to describe like your quarters within this chantry. Like, what would your quarters look like where he resides?
They'd be fairly sparse overall. A simple bed, maybe like a single. He's not particularly tall, so that would fit him. A dresser, with his various shirts, various sort of undercover outfits as well in there for when he's out investigating. He'll have a closet with just a suit rack in there, like suit after suit after suit tailored for him. Maybe a bookshelf with some investigative books, modern investigative techniques, that sort of thing, along with, maybe a family Bible from when he was a child, but not much else, at least not without Cynthia's permission.
What would you say Warren's day-to-day activities, if he's not outside the chantry doing anything, but like when he awakens, what does he do within the chantry? Mind you, again, for those of you listening or watching, this chantry isn't one where there's like magical laboratories or anything like that. Like Cynthia has her privacy in her own room, and Warren's more responsible for like the security currently of the chantry. What would you say his day-to-day activities are?
Day to day, he probably just does the rounds of the chantry, making sure that the window locks are in place, everything is screwed down tight, no signs that anyone was trying to break in. He probably has some specialized equipment to check for bugs, that sort of thing. He'll go through all the various security cameras and other measures that are in place, review footage, make sure that nothing sketchy happened during the day or before he woke up or after he went to sleep in the evening or early morning.
One evening when you awaken and you start, I would say you spend about 2-3 hours doing your evening routine. It probably comes across very monotonous too, just like, repeats itself over and over again. Kind of just see like this montage of like Warren checking windows, checking security footage, checking this, not seeing anything, and like him doing this over and over, you know what I mean, night upon night, unless he has to leave for some reason. But he does it loyally, right? Like what goes on in Warren's head when he does this, I guess, when he goes through these steps every evening?
A lot of the time he's just operating on rote. This is what he does. So he goes through his mental checklist, ticks off every point, and then double checks himself to make sure he didn't miss anything so that he doesn't get in trouble with Cynthia. And then if anything does pique his interest, he might review it, think of 3 or 4 alternate explanations for it, give it a closer look, decide on an explanation, and then move forward with that explanation. He doesn't really have a lot of personal thought in his head, except for maybe briefly after he wakes up and as he gets himself dressed and ready.
What goes on when he wakes up, like personal thought when he gets himself dressed and ready? Is it like any kind of, is it just random thoughts, or is there anything in particular like that goes through his head?
A lot of it would be random thoughts, a fair bit of reminiscing about his childhood, his history, his experiences in life, and an undeath. He might think about his old wife or his kids here and there, wondering, how they turned out, what happened to them in the long run.
Does he feel guilt to this day because of like, having that fling with Cynthia before he was embraced and everything, and thus that being the reason why they left him?
He does. He regrets that fling, but he doesn't regret that fling. He's kind
Well,
of
yeah,
torn about it.
yeah, because I would see it like in the fact that A, obviously you regret it for your wife and the broken heart, but B, with you being 2 steps bound to the Tremere, you feel like it opened a door for a greater cause. I would think almost like there was some good that came out of this this jacked up fling that you had. Like something in the end good came from it. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
it was all. But I would say like almost this probably is a reminder because you're like literally like perfect strangers with someone who's living in this house. You went from someone being emotionally and physically tied to someone, and now you guys are like strangers where like you can go like a week or 2 or 3 without even speaking to each other or seeing each other. Would I be correct in that?
Yes.
One night when you're done going about your movements and your steps and your routine, you come walking back into your room, and sitting on your bed, you see the figure of Jenna. And for those of you who don't remember, Jenna is the Tremere whip, and she is about 5'6", rather slender, not voluptuous, very voluptuous at all. She wears like jeans, and she kind of wears like, I don't want to say eccentric, but she wears like clothes that were in the fashion of like the late 90s, early 2000s, but not like she's stuck in that time. And I don't want to say like t-shirts or like jingle pants, but I'm saying like she'll wear like jeans and like a sparkly sweater, you know what I mean? Or she'll kind of dress almost like she's maturing in a way, but she's trying to grasp onto her youth and like that childish naiveness she had. But Warren, that she has grown a lot in the fact that she has a lot of responsibility and that she's pretty much the face of the Tremere clan in the Twin Cities at the moment. She has very like pale, milky skin, not because of a loss of humanity as such, but more because she was just kind of had the Nordic German Norwegian features, blood that a lot of people who live in the Twin Cities had. But she has like this blonde hair that is kind of cut shorter, but like a little spiky, has spikiness. And she has like these very faded freckles that are along the bridge of her nose a little bit, and these very piercing gray eyes. She sits there, she's sitting on the edge of your bed looking at you. When you come in your room and open the door, you're kind of caught off guard for a little bit, but she kind of like stands up and she comes, and you find that she's well, you can explain this to me. She tries to be warm towards you, right? Because, and you know this, and you're an adult, and you're you know what I mean. You're wise enough to realize that like she's trying to make up for the callousness and the coldness that you get from Cynthia. You know what I mean? And she's trying to like give you, I guess, like caring in a way that you don't receive from your sire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she comes up to you and she gently puts like her hand on your shoulder. She's like, Warren, please, sit down. I need to have a talk with you.
Warren will flinch a little when she puts her hand on his shoulder, and then he'll recover, take a moment. Oh, okay. What do we need to talk about?
She kind of like sits on the bed, and you can see when you flinch, she gets this like look on her face, like she's disturbed by that. You're not at you, but you know what I mean. Like a part of her does not like seeing that reaction from you. Not that she's angry at you, but it just kind of disturbs her a little bit seeing that. And she goes and sits on your bed. She kind of like gently pats the spot next to her on the bed. She's like, here, sit down.
He'll sit at the foot of the bed, not next to her.
Warren, I've been talking to Cynthia lately, and I can't help but feel empathetic about you being stuck in here. I feel like every time that I see you, that you're almost like this robot that's just stuck in the same movement every day. And
But that's my job.
well, yes, it is part of your job, but I think there's a whole different aspect of your job, or actually more responsibilities you should probably have. Things are getting crazy in the city, and sometimes I don't think Cynthia has the perception to pick that up sometimes. Cynthia is a tragic figure, just like you are, Warren. But I think I've gotten through to her. I've been out here in the city interacting with Kindred, and I've been trying to build relations for our clan. And I was in the process of doing that with this member of the Toreador clan. Her name was Ophelia. And when she says her name was Ophelia, you have this memory of watching William and Ophelia going into the chantry with Jenna in one of the studies and talking. Like you saw this grainy black and white, you know what I mean? Footage of it as you were watching in this monitor room as they were talking. You actually have a recording of the conversation and everything too. I was trying to broker a relationship with Ophelia and her coterie because they were looking into a gentleman named Roman Duncern. And he is someone who works for a kindred who's in the city named Rita Giovanni. And you know when she says Rita Giovanni, you're able to, in your head, remember, and from the prelude session that we had where something happened with Cynthia dealing with the Giovanni somehow, and you know that there's some angst between the two, but you've never been able to figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't know if you remember that from the character creation session that we had. Mm-hmm. So I was in the middle of brokering a relationship between us two and their group, and we'd offer our services to help. But yesterday evening, there came news that Ophelia has met final death, and that another member of that coterie, a venture named Jonathan, is missing. And that's now 3 kindred in this city who have now disappeared in the span of 2 weeks. When we went from no kindred disappearing in the city for the last 50 years to now 3 in the last 2 weeks. So I'm sure that you can see where this is kind of crazy times at the moment. And I don't think that I am capable of doing for our clan what needs to be done at this moment.
So who am I being loaned out to?
You're being loaned out to the 2 survivors of this coterie, the 2 people left. One is named Katao. He's the gangrel whip for the clan now. One of 2 gangrel that are actually in the city, and another one's a venture named William.
Are they paying you for me, or are they paying Cynthia for me?
We're not looking at like they're paying us. We're looking at we are offering your services so that you can get information for us on a couple things.
Cynthia won't like that.
I convinced Cynthia that this is the best move. And to be honest with you, Warren, I think if you're successful, I really do think if you're successful in doing this, Cynthia may change her outlook on you.
I don't know about that.
I understand there's a lot of reason why you probably feel that way. And you may be right. But what would it hurt?
A
This is for
lot.
the. I'm so sorry that all that happened to you,
You know what she
Warren.
does to me.
I know. I understand. And I'm trying to stop that. And I've been trying to stop that. I don't agree with it whatsoever. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that while I sit here and I get to go out amongst our kind in the city. But I'll tell you what, Warren, this will help the clan also. This will help our strength in the city. And we need that right now. You have the skill set that can help us find out information about what's going on with Roman Dunster and Rito Giovanni. What happened to that Toreador? What happened to the Ventru? And what is going on in the city right now that's causing all this? Because I'm not going to lie right now, Warren, I feel helpless. And I think that if we don't get to the bottom of this, Cynthia's going to even feel more helpless. And I don't know what she's capable of if she really feels backed into a corner like that. There's so much going on right now, Warren, and we need you. Will you do this for us?
Okay, I'll do it. I don't have
She,
much of a choice, do I?
we all have choices, even though it feels like we don't, Warren.
No, I don't.
And you see that when you say no, you don't, you see like her lips get straight and you know, like she can't think of anything to say. You know what I mean? She doesn't know what to say. And she just kind of like tries to warmly smile at you. And she gets up. I'm in the process of setting up a meeting, matter of fact, probably within the next hour. Would you like to come with me?
Okay.
And she kind of opens the door to your room. And as you both step out, you know, waiting for you to walk by.
He'll show her out. I need to change.
Okay. And she closes the door and waits outside your room. There's like this little circular foray, you know what I mean, that the front door is connected to. And there's like this stairwell that kind of goes up and will curve to like the top floor. And that's where like Cynthia, you know, stays at. And she closes the door and she waits out there for you. What are you doing?
Okay. Warren will put on something casual instead of his usual suit, something that'll just let him blend into a random group of people on the street if need be. And then he'll come out of his room.
All right. As you open the door, you see Jenna sitting in this like kind of like older kind of chair that has like it's made of wood, but it has like cushioning on the back end, you know, and on the seat. And it's against the wall, like next to this little 4A table that has like a vase with some plants on there. And you know, like the floor of this 4A has like wood, you know, like it's real wood floor, and it has like this maroon kind of circular carpet where in the middle of the foyer there's this circular table that kind of has like more plants that are sitting in there, you know. It's kind of like a really decorative. You see on the wall there's kind of some older paintings that are on there. You actually some your checks, when you check, you like straighten them out a little bit, you know, as you do your evening checks. And she stands up and she kind of like motions towards the door with you. And as you're walking with her towards the door, you happen to look up and you see on the railing of the steps on the second floor, you see the figure of Cynthia looking down at you, and you see she kind of has like this gray, like longer skirt, like wool skirt on, and these like brown loafers, and she has like this like darker blacker sweater that she's wearing, a long sleeve sweater, and you see like her hands are on the railings as she's looking down, and she has this like very cold look on her face, but she has this really long like brown hair that's parted in the middle that goes down, and it kind of goes behind her ears, and she has like these Italian features, like these brown, rich brown eyes, and her face has this very very light butterscotch kind of color to it, but it's kind of faded, like the sun has beat down upon it. And you see she has this like just emotionless look as she's looking right at you as you look up. And then Jenna kind of like opens the door, and you see Jenna just looks up at her and then looks back outside and motions for you to step outside.
The moment Warren sees her, he'll sort of shrink into himself a little, and he'll hesitate before stepping outside.
Go ahead. It's all right. Let's go.
He'll step outside.
All right. So, Lenny, you come to the park where you're going to meet Elijah and Gerald and Valentine at. And when you come upon the same bench that you guys had talked, you and Gerald just had a talk at the evening before, you see Gerald is just Gerald that is sitting on the bench. And as he sees you, kind of the figure of you kind of breaking through the darkness, stepping through the glass towards the park bench, he kind of stands up out of like a sign of respect, you know what I mean? And he kind of like motions for you to sit down next to him.
He'll give him a slight nod and sit back, just kind of like in a relaxed kind of pose.
There's been a change of plans. I'm sorry to do this to you, But one of the abilities I think that makes us, you and I, who we are is our abilities to improvise and to adapt to situations as they may change. Matter of fact, that's one of the traits that you hold that I'm most proud of that you have. And I just want you to know that I see that and I appreciate it. Information came out that changed our plans. Originally, we wanted you to bring Valentine to present him to the prince. But now Elijah is. And it's not because of you, but it's because there are things happening right now in the city, and we feel that upper management should take care of introducing a new kindred at this moment. I told you how Ophelia, the Toreador, is presumed dead and missing. And Jonathan is also missing, that venture. Now there are accusations that the Malkavians are behind this. We don't know what to take of this information, but we are hearing now there are 3 Malkavians that are 2 about to be introduced into the city, which I told you about. And Elijah thought, with the accusations that are being flown around, that it is best that he brings Valentine to the prince to present him. We're worried, though, because these accusations are coming from Ty Harper, the sheriff. And Ty Harper has not been happy, we can say, since Kimberly Harris has introduced herself back into the city. So what does that mean for you? We think it's best at this moment that before we allow Valentine to introduce himself to the remnants of the coterie, that maybe you, broker, you kind of warm them up, for lack of a better term, rather than just introducing them this child to them and saying have fun, that maybe you can reach out to them at your own timing and kind of let them know that soon a new member of our clan will be wanting to speak to them. I don't know if you see that as a better step. I myself do, because I think we can prepare. If we can prepare them for what they're about to see, then maybe it won't come across as abrasive as it possibly could. If we just said, "Hey, oh, by the way, do you see my rationale behind that?"
He nods.
So I trust your judgment to handle it in the way that you want to handle it. You can reach out in what way you want to. If you require my assistance, if you want me to reach out, I can do that too. But I don't want to step on your toes. You have your way of dealing with things, and I don't want to micromanage you. But if you do need me to reach out and broker an introduction, let me know. It's your call.
Where can I find him?
Well, I can give you, I know you can find the primogen of the Gangrel clan. She's been pretty heavy right now in trying to interact with others of our kind. So she can most likely either be found at the Hawthorne Country Club or at the Underground, Katrina Carrington's nightclub. And I'm sure she could broker a meeting between you and Katao, seeing that now he's the whip of the clan. When it comes to William, he resides in these apartments and gives you, apartment complex name. I forgot the name that we gave William's apartment complex. We have reason to believe that he resides there. It's your call on how you want to break it. Or I can reach out to Annabelle, the Gangrel Primogen, or I can reach out to someone from the Venture clan to broker introduction to William. Between us, if you wish for me to go that route, I'd much rather reach out to Annabelle, because I feel she'd be easier to work with.
He just shakes his head at him as he's saying, I can do this.
He nods his head. Understood. You know how to reach me? And he kind of stands up. And as he stands up, he turns around and looks at you, and he reaches out his hand like he wants to shake your hand.
I'll shake his hand.
All right. And then he turns around, he walks off with his hands in his pockets down like this pathway, that's at this park. What are you going to do?
So he said that the Gangrel Primogen was at one of 2 places, right? The Country Club and where else?
Hawthorne Country Club and the Underground. Hawthorne Country Club is where most Elysium things happen at. It's along the Mississippi River. It's like this golf course and has this country club, and there's a section at night. And mind you, it's not like your Kindred are drinking, Vitae out of glass, decanter kind of thing. It's where you might find a couple Kindred there. They don't hang out there. But
I've only been there once, but I remember.
Yeah, you've only been there once, exactly. And usually if there's an announcement, there'll be a good majority will go there, but that's it. And then you have the Underground, which is a club that Katrina Carrington, who is the Toreador Primogen, has in downtown Minneapolis, where that is considered an Elysium too, and where some may go. And what I meant to tell you is because due to the dramatic loss that the Gangrel clan has taken, that Annabelle right now, who is Primogen, is finding herself going into these trying to broker relationships right now, because you got to think like they went from Malkavians went from the clan that was dead in the water to like now the Gangrel are, So
Yep.
like the power has shifted, and she's desperate right now to try to like, well, not desperate, he didn't say that, but you know what I mean. She's definitely trying to broker relations at the moment.
So the one that least appeals to him is going to this country club, but it's also the closest one to where he's at right now, easiest for him to get to, and he feels most likely for her to be there. So he's going to just head that way.
So how does Lenny travel?
Lenny walks or takes public transportation, completely invisible to people around him. He will stand at a bus stop where someone else is waiting and get on with them.
So he could just kind of like rides in the background of these buses, right? Just out of curiosity, what obfuscate powers is that 3?
To just be invisible to people?
Yeah,
That's
unseen
1 and
presence,
2.
right? Yeah, 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Okay. Oh, nice. So, and there's no roll necessary to use this power unless you speak or attack or anything. So you can just kind of like mosey on. I like that. So that's going to be interesting that's going to be an interesting thing to describe. So we'll say that you can take like, there's obviously a transit system in Minneapolis, that I would say that it's a short bus ride. And like you walk out of the pathway of this park, like this pathway is kind of like made of, it almost looks like there's a bunch of different rocks that are kind of mixed with blacktop, you know what I mean? And it's kind of cuts its way through this park, and there's random like lanterns. So you kind of like know these pathways like the back of your hands, almost like the lines of your palms. You know where they lead to in this different park system, where one will get you to this bus stop or one will get you to this spot, not that they interconnect the city, but you just know your way around here from nights of walking. So you walk along this and you kind of just find yourself being the only one. You can kind of hear some background noise, because it kind of carries through the park, and maybe a couple people at like a picnic table having a 6-pack or something like that, but not obnoxious. This is usually kind of a genuine respected area, of the city. And as you walk along this path and you hear your foot crunching on the pathway, you eventually break through the park into where you're along the side of one of these streets on a sidewalk. And you see this bus stop, which is like, it's like painted green, and it has like this green bench you could sit on, but also behind it has like a little billboard thing with an overhead. And like on the billboard behind it, there's some random like flyers that are taped all over it for like local musical shows, like at the First Avenue Club, or like local like coffee shops, or different services that provide like guitar lessons. It's all like taped, and there's like layers of this that are on there, and you could kind of see like on the green paint of like the benches, like random things that were carved with keys or initials or something to that extent. And you see like there's this older lady who's just sitting there. She looks like years of poverty have just like pushed her down more to where she can never climb out of the hole of poverty. And like this transit system is her one way to connect and be able to accomplish things that she needs to in life. It's about like 8 or 9, and you see that she's sitting on this bench, and she has like the brown wool like dress. You see like these orthopedic socks, you know what I mean, that are pulled up, and these like cheap Walmart white shoes that are all scuffed up, and she's like has like this short sleeve blouse, but you can see like the rolls of fat like cover her elbows, like their elbows are like simple or dimples. And she's holding this cane, and she's just sitting there patiently waiting for the bus to come. And you're standing there. What's going on? Like, what's going on in your head as you're standing waiting for the bus, and she can't see you? Like, what does that bring out in Lenny when he knows he's able to walk amongst people like this, and you can witness them at their most private? You know what I mean? Like, this lady thinks she's by herself right now. Does that bring out any feeling in Lenny?
I'd say that it's his primary source of connection to people, and so he gets kind of like a perverse kind of like it's like when you ever sit down like in a public place and people watch, you're like maybe in like a food court of a mall and you're just watching people and they don't think anyone's looking at them and they just do some goofy shit. It's kind of one of those types of things where he's just kind of like, this is how he kind of associates with most people, is like silent observation. You don't even know he's there.
So you are standing there watching this, and eventually you kind of hear down the street this bus coming, and you see this bus is the front of the bus. You can't make out the driver. You can just see that it's painted like gray and purple, and you see it eventually coming, and you see like the front has this real cheap like digital, like where it says what street it's going to, and you see as it rolls and it slowly stops, and you hear like the hydraulics of the brake and the as like the train or the bus stops, and you see like the name changes to whatever street that Hawthorne is within walking distance of the Hawthorne Country Club, and you're as the doors open up and no one comes out, and you see like this old lady, like she gets up and she like kind of like leans her weight on the cane, and you realize just like you weren't able to tell so much as she was sitting, but you kind of see she's kind of rather obese, and she's like trying to make her way up, and she walks up slowly and she puts her hand on this stainless steel like can banister, and she's like walking her way up the cane, trying to make her way up these 3 steps, and you just see like this older black guy is like driving the bus. You just see him like for a second looks out the side of his eyes like annoyed, and then he just kind of looks defeated again as he's just looking ahead at the street, just waiting for her to get on. And you notice that like when you come behind her, like instinctually the bus driver knows not to close the door like after her, and there's even comes a moment where your lumbering form comes up the steps and you turn to go down the aisle, like your elbows like maybe within an inch of his arm, and you see instinctively he just kind of like shifts over, but he doesn't like, realize that there's a figure there, and then he sits right as you go, and you realize that you two are the only ones on the bus now, and the bus slowly, you feel it start taking off from the curb, and you feel it catching speed as it goes down the street. You're looking out the window, and you see just like random billboard signs of businesses kind of go by, and then eventually you see again it kind of goes to greener, a little bit more greener, and you see that there's like another like street, like kind of where like the businesses are starting to end, and it's kind of going back into more of the park area, and then the bus pulls over to a similar looking bus stop, and you see it stop, and you walk, and you and like the bus driver doesn't even look at you, and you go and stand by the door, and you see him instinctively reach out and open, the door, and you see it open it up, and you walk out and it closes, and he didn't even look at you. He didn't even like do any of that shit or anything like that. There's no one waiting outside, and he just takes off. And I would almost say that adds like a little, I don't know, like adds more to the people watching. Like it's almost like you feel like a sneaky peek. You know what I mean? Like
it's like that. He's like this this like unseen presence that's just moving through society without anyone realizing, just liking the feel of just being invisible.
Yeah, and if anyone ever got that on camera, all they would see is a lumbering form with a hood over its head. You know what I mean? Like hands in its like hoodie, just walking out, and a bus driver letting him out. You know what I mean? So you step out onto the sidewalk, and you can see as you step out onto the sidewalk of this bus stop, you can see that like it's just a comfortable enough distance from the country club to where the people who work at the country club can get dropped off there and walk maybe like half a mile to get there, and not have to have this bus pull up and ruin the serenity, the experience of the country club. And so you start walking along the sidewalk, and you're going to the country club, and at this point that there's 2 entrances to the country club. There's the front entrance where like someone like even like a Tao could like roll up in his car and get out, and they know that at night there's people who are going to go and whatever, and they don't ask questions. You don't know if they work for the prince, you don't know any of this shit, you don't know any of the layout, but you also know there's another like entrance if Kindred need to use it, that they can go through like the kitchen area. You know what I mean? Where like the kitchens would normally be ran at and everything like that. I take it that's the entrance you'd want to go through to kind of keep with what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say so. If he needs to, he can create a mask to disguise himself in case he comes across someone.
So you walk, like you come up to, you're walking along the sidewalk, and you come up to the front entrance of the Hawthorne Country Club. I've explained it before, but I'll explain it again, where there's like a circular drive, and you can like drive your car, and you can park, and someone can like take it for you. Or on the left, where you can't see where you're at now, there's like a parking lot there. But you also know where the sidewalk kind of splits and leads to the front entrance. There's like another like path, smaller sidewalk that kind of goes down this slope and kind of goes along the side, you know what I mean? Where people can't even see it out of windows, and leads down. And then it kind of comes up again to like this back entrance. And at this time, you can see like the golf course. You can see at night, at least, the rolling, and you can see like kind of in the distance, like the Mississippi River, you know what I mean? Like the lights of the country club are kind of like reflecting off of it. And you're able to go around, and you go into where the back kitchen area is. You actually see like there's some people who are like, it's like 9 or 10 at night, and they're not like cooking, but they're prepping for the next day, or they're cleaning, and you see like they're wearing like these white pants and like, you know, like have the like the overhead apron on, and they don't notice you at all. Like you go walking right by them, they're like dumping shit into the dumpster. You're walking past, again, you have that weird, well, I don't know, it's not weird for you anymore, but to me it's weird, you know, how like people sidestep you and they don't even know you're kind of walking through the kitchen. You're able to walk through the kitchen, you walk through this, you come out of the kitchen, of the stainless steel confines of the kitchen, and you come into like this banquet hall. And you know, in the banquet hall, it's completely empty now. Like the chairs are put up, you know what I mean, on these circular tables. There's about 8 of them. There's like a stage if someone wanted to give like a presentation or speak. Like it could be used for like a wedding reception in a way. And you know that this isn't where the kindred meet, but you know, like you kind of walk through this banquet hall, and you know, past the double doors that are on the left of the banquet hall, that's kind of where it's considered to be, you know what I mean, where the kindred are going to reside. And it's usually like there's like this little library area. There's this area of like kind of like booths with circular table with these huge like clear wall windows that see the Mississippi River and the golf course. And there's like a boardroom of sorts, which you've never been in, but you know, like kind of like this like 1,000 square foot area of like these 4 different rooms is kind of where like kindred have been known to go and talk. And you come through the double doors of the banquet hall. What are you doing?
I mean, he's just going in and
is he going to use is he going to keep like unseen presence, or is he going to like drop it? Is he going to use Mask of 1,000 Faces, or what's his plan?
I'm gonna wait until I get right to the area where the kindred meet together, and then use a mask to just kind of, you know, hide his
true appearance.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Mask of 1,000 Faces. Obfuscate.
It's a manipulation performance.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
I have 3 successes.
Holy cow. He looks the way he wants to appear. All right. So just for those and for to refresh me, how does he appear when he uses Mask of 1,000 Faces?
It's going to be different every time. So this particular time, he's going to appear at the like peak of his own life when he was embraced, you know, just like a specimen of, you know, pure physical presence and relative attractiveness, the chiseled features, you know, tall, handsome kind of guy.
So you utilize obfuscate, and as you come walking in, you see like the area, the lounge area, and you kind of see that there's really not quite too many. There's only one person who's sitting in this area, and it's Annabelle. Annabelle is the primogen for the Gangrel clan. For those of you who don't know, she's kind of short, little heavier set, has like strawberry blonde hair that kind of goes to her shoulder, has freckles over her face. She's wearing like these brown corduroy pants. She has like a gray hoodie, pullover hoodie that's on, and she has like some just normal tennis shoes that look like cheap tennis shoes, nothing too fancy, you know. And you see she's staring out at the Mississippi River through one of these large picture windows, this huge large picture window. It's like 30 feet by 30 feet, you know what I mean? She has her hands in her hoodie, and she's just kind of standing there staring out, like she doesn't even notice you as you are in the room.
I'm going to quietly walk up to within a few feet of her. Like, I don't want her to notice that until I speak to her.
I'll say that you can do that. Go ahead.
Okay. And once I get up close, I'll just say, "It's beautiful, isn't it?"
You see her quickly turn around and look at you, and you see for like a second when she looks at you, you see like the predator in her for a second, and then when she you see like a quick like sense of confusion. She's like, yeah. She just looks like she's not quite sure how to interpret what's going on now, because she hasn't seen you in this form before. You know what I mean? So she's just kind of looking at you.
Sometimes I like to sit on a bench on the riverside and just look out at things overnight. It's very peaceful.
Yeah. There's some of us who like to look at the view from this room here. I can't say that I've made your acquaintance though before.
I'll hold my hand out to her, like to shake it, and say, "Lenny."
She like for a second you see her hand reaches out and she shakes it. She's like, "Oh, Gerald's friend."
Yeah, you're Annabelle, right?
Yes, I am. You see like when this little interaction happens, you see the confusion wash away, but then you see like a whole new aspect of her come out that you didn't see. You know what I mean? So she kind of, would you like to have a seat? She kind of like motions like at like one of the booths like that surrounds a circular table that still has a view. Like you could look to your left and you'd be right at the window looking at the view there. She like motions for you to sit.
I'll nod to her and I'll move to this table, but wait for her to sit.
And she goes and sits across so to where like the window's to her right. You know what I mean? To where the table's in between you guys. Thank you. Please sit down.
He does.
So I can't say that I've ever seen you here before, Lenny.
I don't like to poke my nose around in things too much.
I'd say that's a very good quality to have, especially with current situations going on in the city.
Yeah, I've been hearing a little bit about that.
I'm not going to be surprised when you come and when you tell me that you're here to speak to me about something involving that, am I?
He just kind of smiles wryly at her.
You'd be surprised how many people who have never spoken to me in the last 30 years have all of a sudden taken an interest in me. And I don't mean that as any kind of insult towards you.
Well, I'll be blunt. I was asked to reach out to you by Gerald.
About what, if I may ask?
Well, you're looking for friends, aren't you?
It seems like a lot of people in the city are looking for friends in me also, but yes, you could say definitely that I am in need of friends at the moment.
Well, maybe we can be friends. I need to get in touch with one of yours.
The only one of mine. And I take it you mean Gatau, right?
Yes.
In what regards, may I ask?
Well, there's going to be a friend visiting from out of town, another of Nosferatu, and he has a very personal interest in things happening here. And to kind of smooth things out before he meets with Kaitao himself, I'm to kind of give him a primer. We don't want things getting off on the wrong foot.
You know, you're the first person to come here to ask to actually help out Kaitao and all this, which is a good impression that you're leaving. Most people who come here and say they want to be my friend are offering protection that friendship brings. When would you like to speak to him?
Preferably sooner rather than later. I don't know how patient this out-of-towner can be. So he's going to be introduced to the prince soon. So while that's being sorted out, preferably I can talk to Kaitao.
Every clan seems to be growing here. Do you happen to know any gangrel who'd like to relocate?
Like I said, I don't stick my nose into things too much.
She smiles. I think that's a good answer right there. Okay, I will do that. Can you leave me a phone number so I can give it to him to contact you?
Of course.
Thank you. And she kind of, you see she pulls out this notepad out of her hoodie pocket. And you're kind of like taken aback by, I don't want to say taken aback, but like, you know, you've seen a couple of Primogen, right? And they seem so like, I don't say regal, but they do seem regal. And to see Primogen go, pull out a little like, you know what I mean, notepad and like, what's your phone number with the pen just seems, you're looking at that. I don't know what it brings out on you, but it seems very amateur hour with her doing this at this moment.
Lenny's just got a like basic flip phone, so like, I don't care.
Yeah. So she writes down your number and she's like, I'll call him as soon as we're done here. And I'll have him contact you, okay?
Yeah. And if you need anything, let us know.
Yes. I think we'll see how your relationship goes with Katal and what he tells me. And if it goes good, maybe us and our families can have a relationship, be good neighbors.
He just kind of nods quietly. I'll leave you to your reveries.
Thank you. And she just kind of like gets up, you know, and looks at you patiently as she waits. You know what I mean? Waits for you to get up and kind of like walks off. And
I'll extend a hand to shake hers before I leave and just say, have a good evening.
You too. You too. Be careful out there. And she shakes her hand and she goes back and looks out the window.
Hello, folks. Have you ever wished you could have an easy way to find gameplay videos and podcasts, or just media in general that deals with your favorite White Wolf role-playing games? Or have you ever wished you could find a forum to share gameplay that you have recorded, one which wouldn't be drowned out by random posts and discussion, so that your media could get the attention you want? Well, we have the answer for you in a Facebook group we run called White Wolf RPGs Gameplay and Media. The group is specifically ran with the sole intent of it being a one-stop one-stop shop for people to view or share media involving the games we all love. We take thorough steps to ensure the page does not become cluttered and is easy to traverse. We are currently over 1,000 members strong, and we are continuing to rapidly grow, with new media being shared every day. Stop on by. We hope to see you there. High Level Games, the industry's first choice in taking your games to the next level. We are a podcast blog and new media network at highlevelgames.ca. We have blog posts about all of your favorite games going up 5 days a week, and a podcasting network with actual plays and shows that discuss role-playing games, with more rolling out all the time. We are on iTunes, Twitch, and YouTube. Find out more information at highlevelgames.ca, a site that certainly isn't controlled by a shadowy board of directors of otherworldly origin. That's highlevelgames.ca.
Please, help. They're coming.
The Los Angeles metropolitan area is constantly growing and changing. The Central District is full of new buildings. The Hollywood and Wilshire districts, once far from downtown, now are part of a which spreads past Beverly Hills and out to the ocean. But why is all this going on in Los Angeles? Why is Los Angeles an exploding city?
Neon Masquerade.
The Demon's Mirror.
13 Candles.
3 chronicles running through the undead veins of the City of Angels.
The Esoteric Order of Roleplayers Actual Play podcast invites you to drink deeply.
Go to eorpodcast.com and search the duets tag to find out more.